The Oklahoma City Thunder rebounded from a heartbreaking game one loss to beat the Indiana Pacers 123-107 in game two. They now head back to Indiana with the series tied 1-1. Obviously, they should be up 2-0, but Tyrese Halliburton pulled a Tyrese Halliburton when they lost in game one. That has been happening. The question was going into this game, is Oklahoma City going to be more like the Bulls in the 1991 NBA Finals or the Magic in the 1995 NBA Finals? The reason I say that is in both cases, the Bulls and the Magic, heavy favorites, had home court advantage, lost game one because they didn't play up to their standards. The Magic melted down. By the way, both lost game one in heartbreaking fashion, should have won it. The Magic melted down. The Magic did not recover. If you don't know that story, it was the Shaq Penny era with the Magic. Nick Anderson missed 4 free throws at the end. If he hits one, the Magic win the game. But he misses all 4, and then Houston hits a game-tying 3, wins it at overtime. Magic never recover. They lose in 4. The Bulls, meanwhile, in 91, they lose game 1 of the NBA Finals to the Lakers. Michael loses to Magic. All the stories are out there at the time. The Bulls still haven't gotten a ring, but they seem to have gotten over the hump with the Pistons. They get to the finals. They lose game 1 to the Lakers, and the narrative is back out that Michael Jordan is a scoring champion who will never be an actual champion. Well, he and the Bulls respond by winning the next 4 games and absolutely dominating. Some of the narrative is a little bit Disneyfied because they'll be like, oh, Scottie Pippen was put on Magic Johnson and guarded him 94 feet. That's a Phil Jackson spin narrative. No, the Bulls are just a better team overall, and that's why they won. So what was Oklahoma City going to do? After watching game 2, I'm pretty sure Oklahoma City is more like the 1991 Chicago Bulls than they are the 1995 Orlando Magic. One, because they actually won a finals game and are the better team. But also, I think we're overrating the fact that Oklahoma City, in their defense, we're not paying attention to the fact that they just didn't, like the Bulls in 91, they just didn't play a good game to their standards in game 1. Now, they dominated the first half. They forced, I think, 19 turnovers in the first half of game 1. They looked like they were all over Indiana, but we're forgetting this. Oklahoma City in game 1 shot below 40%. They were just rusty. They were just rusty in that game because they had been off for 8 days. So they weren't shooting the ball well. And I figured that once they got their shooting back up to snuff, they would be fine. And they got their shooting back up to snuff in this one, as they were 48.8% from the field. They were 14 of 36 from 3, 38.9%, significantly better than the first game. Shot 88% from the free throw line. When you take all of this into account, you do have to say that, look, their shooting just improved to a level of where it needed to improve. And by the way, the 3-point shooting wasn't terrible the first game. They were 11 to 30, but obviously 11 to 30 is not as good as 14 of 36. And more importantly than that, they were nearly 50% from the field in general when they were below 40% in the last game. So I think when you take that into account, I think Oklahoma City honestly was just rusty in that one. And you saw it because they didn't even need to force that many turnovers. They forced 15. Okay, fair enough. Came away with 10 steals. But it was really, their offense was just back up to snuff, being more efficient. Alex Caruso off the bench, balled out, was 6 of 11 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, had 20 points on the day. Alex Caruso was incredible. Also, Aaron Wiggins comes in, 5 of 8 from 3. 5 of 8 from 3, 6 of 11 from the field, 18 points. Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso do it from the bench. All in the starting lineup, Chet Holmgren, 6 of 11, 15 points on the day, and Jalen Williams, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 19 points. But the star of the show, as is usual, was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was only 1 of 4 from 3, but he had 8 assists, 4 steals. That's right, 4 steals, only 2 turnovers, 34 points, a block, was 11 of 12 from the free throw line, 11 of 21 from the field overall. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doing what a star should do. With this in mind, I'm just going to tell you guys, Oklahoma City is going to win this series in 6 games. They may not lose another game in this series. Oklahoma City may not lose another game in the NBA Finals, despite that first heartbreak. Sorry, let me start that over. Oklahoma City may not lose another game in the NBA Finals, despite that game 1 heartbreak. Okay, Oklahoma City is the better team. They're mentally tougher. They were rusty in game 1, shooting below 40% from the field. They're now close to 50% after game 2. And when they're shooting the way they should, it showed in this game. Indiana showed in game 2 they can't hang with Oklahoma City when Oklahoma City is shooting well from the field. I think this is going to be Oklahoma City the rest of the way. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the biggest star on the court. Oklahoma City is definitely winning this in 6 games, and they may win it in 5. They're just the better team overall. Also, I want to point this out about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's better in the playoffs than Tyrese Halliburton. You can look at the data, guys. SGA has a better PER, a higher true shooting percentage, higher win shares per 48 minutes, and higher box plus minus than Tyrese Halliburton in the playoffs. Now, Halliburton does have the better clutch gene, as his overall analytics are increased in the playoffs. I think his PER goes from 20.8 to 21.5, something like that, whereas SGA's goes down a little bit. It's normal for your analytics to go down in the playoffs because you're playing tougher competition. But SGA is so much better as a player in general that even with his dip in production in the playoffs, it's still better than Tyrese Halliburton's increase in production in the playoffs. So with that in mind, SGA is a better playoff player than Tyrese Halliburton. I would take SGA in the playoffs over Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton in this game, by the way, just want to point this out. 6 assists, 5 turnovers. And 2 of those assists were meaningless late in the fourth quarter. At one point, he had 4 assists and 5 turnovers in the fourth quarter. Yeah, he had 17 points. Yeah, he was 7 of 13 from the field. Yeah, he was 8 from 3, but 6 assists, 5 turnovers. Sorry, you can't have that. Can't have that happening, guys. Tyrese Halliburton should not be having 5 turnovers to 6 assists. That is a really, 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 really bad ratio, and that was a big problem in this game. People want to talk about Tyrese Halliburton and his clutch gene and how he hits all these game-winning shots, and there's some merit to it. There's some validity, but it's massively overrated. Tyrese Halliburton's clutch gene is massively overrated. Tyrese Halliburton does step his game up in the playoffs. He does improve his analytics across the board in the playoffs. However, his clutch gene is not what people think it is. While he is tied for second since 1997 in number of shots made to tie or take the lead in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter overtime in the NBA playoffs with 5, he's tied with Reggie Miller and LeBron James. I'm sorry, he's tied with, let me start that over. While Tyrese Halliburton has had 5 shots to tie or take the lead in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter overtime in the NBA playoffs, which is tied for second with Reggie Miller since 1997, only to LeBron James, who has 8. By the way, y'all say LeBron James is a clutch. He has 8 shots to tie or take the lead in the final 5 seconds of the fourth quarter or overtime in the NBA playoffs. A lot of Tyrese Halliburton's shots are flukes. One of Tyrese Halliburton's shots of those 5 was the Knicks game in game 1 in the Eastern Conference Finals, where the ball bounced off the back of the rim and landed in. That wasn't a clutch shot. That was a lucky shot by Tyrese Halliburton. That's not a clutch gene. That was sheer, pure luck. Tyrese Halliburton's career PER in the playoffs is 21.5. That wouldn't even be top 30 all time. His win shares per 48 minutes, 0.176. His box plus minus, 5.6. Neither of those would be top 25 all time. None of them are top 10 among active players. So Tyrese Halliburton has been more the beneficiary of luck than an actual clutch gene in the playoff. The reason he's been a beneficiary of luck is he's the product of being a good shooter, which he is. I bow down. He's a good shooter. And having the chance at a lot of late game winning shots because Rick Carlisle, the Pacers coach, is the best coach of the last 30 years in the NBA and makes great fourth quarter adjustments to allow his outmatched teams to make comebacks late and give his team's chance to win it at the end, at which point you will go to Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton on any other team would just be any other player. It would be forgettable. This is not indicative of some clutch gene. This is indicative of being lucky and being in the right place at the right time and playing for the coach that is smart enough to help his undermanned team have a chance to win at the end, at which point he has a chance to take more game-winning shots. Tyrese Halliburton's not unclutch, to be fair. As I pointed out, he increases in his analytics across the board. He's just not as clutch as people think. His PER, box plus minus, and win shares per 48 minutes would all be outside of the top 25 all time and outside of the top 10 among active NBA players when you just look at the playoff stats. Tyrese Halliburton is not as clutch as people think. He's not that deadly, and we've got to stop this. It's overrated. His clutch gene is overrated. SGA is a better player in the playoffs. LeBron is a better player in the playoffs. Michael Jordan was a better player in the playoffs. Okay, I'm sorry. Tyrese Halliburton is getting way overblown because of the moments that have happened, but the coaching by Rick Carlisle has had more to do with those moments than Tyrese Halliburton himself. I just have to point that out. He's massively overrated.